I told you in part one of this presentation that the first mistake women make when meeting a man for the first time can be found in Genesis chapter 3, verse 1, where Eve was asked one question. She was asked one question by her would-be deceiver, and she went on and on and on, and she wouldn't stop talking. Not only did she answer the question unnecessarily, she wouldn't stop talking. Sister, I told you, when you do this, you place yourself at a tremendous disadvantage whenever you meet a man for the first time. You think that the man tricks you after 5 or 10 weeks. You think that after he's known you for several months, he changes. And I'm trying to tell you that the wrong man is going to trick you in the first 5 to 10 minutes of having a conversation with you for the very first time, and I'm going to tell you how he does it. He says, "Hello, beautiful. Could I have a moment with you? Please tell me a little bit about yourself." The wrong man, he understands and wants to take advantage of your desire to impress him with your words. The wrong man knows that even though you have a high level of education, because you're answering all of his questions, he knows you're not all that smart, my dear sister. When you meet a man for the first time, that is your first opportunity to do your own critical analysis of him. You ask all the questions, sister, until you reach a level of comfort to let your guards down. And this process should take several weeks or months before you can actually share vital information about yourself to him. But if in the first 5 or 10 minutes of having a conversation with a man that you are meeting for the first time, what you are doing is arming him with information on who to become in order to cause you to believe that he is the man for you. While you're talking, sister, he sits across the table and he listens carefully. He collects information and he meticulously calculates the type of man that you are interested in. And then after a few minutes, he morphs into the man that you just described to him. You basically told him how to deceive you. And then after spending several weeks with you, having his way with you, getting what he wants from you, he morphs back into the man that he was the day before he met you. Welcome to Hashtag Relationships, where we are discussing the first mistake and the worst mistake women make when meeting a man for the first time. We know that Eve's first mistake was answering questions from the would-be deceiver. But her worst mistake, my dear wonderful sister, was when Eve was offered something that God did not intend for her to have. Eve accepted an offer, and it was of a thing that was outside, in addition to, or other than whatever God intended for Eve to have. Sister, when a man offers you something that God never intended for you, if you accept such an offer from the man, it is the worst mistake you will ever make. And so you might say, well, how do you know if it's not intended for you? That's a good question. I have an easy way for you to take notice as to whether or not what's being offered to you by any man was intended for you by God. Whenever a thing disagrees with your spirit, sister, the odds are pretty good that God did not intend for you to have it. Sister, God has been speaking to your spirit since you were a little girl. So even as early as age 12, let's say you like a little boy, and you and the little boy went away and did a dirty little deed, and you tried to sell your father on the fact that you didn't know, or the notion I should say, that you didn't know what you were doing. As your father, I would ask you, where did you do the dirty little deed? And when you tell me you did it in a place where you could be hidden, then I would know you knew exactly what you were doing, because it disagreed with your spirit. Therefore, you had to hide to do it. Sister, it is in your nature to hide not only those things, but those men that disagree with your spirit. And if you wanted to take it to another level, you might say, how can you tell if it does not agree with your spirit? That's another good question. Well, any act that would bring shame on you, if your earthly father would find out about the details of whatever this thing is, or whoever this man is, if it would bring shame to you, to your earthly father, then, sister, inherently it disagrees with your spirit. You hide those things and those men that disagree with your spirit, those things that would bring shame to you if your earthly father found out about them. Now, once we get past the wrong type of man, I told you that the right type of man, the right God-fearing man, he desires to protect you from living a life and doing things and meeting people, men, that disagrees with your spirit. He wants to protect you from that, the right God-fearing man. And we're going to get into the details of how that works in my next presentation, which will be titled, How to Stop a Train. I say train because you remember back in the day, several men, one woman. Now, the train doesn't have to occur in one setting. The train can be spread out over several years. The train could be spread out. This cavalcade of men, this procession of men could be spread out over a period of a woman's lifetime. And we know that God never intended that for you, my dear sister. So it comes down to what incentives do you have to offer the right God-fearing man should he come into your life. The only incentive that you can offer him, my dear sister, is your hand in marriage. He wants to be the only man that you turn to. He wants you to be the only woman that he turns to. He wants your cell phone number to be the only number that he has to remember. Sister, he wants to be able to reach his hand toward the heavens and say, precious Lord, take my hand and lead me on to the woman that you have prepared for me, and then reveal her to me. Now, this is what the right God-fearing man wants for you, sister. He wants to take you from a lifestyle that does not agree with your spirit, and the only way you cannot disincentivize the right God-fearing man is to not accept any offer that was not intended for you to have. Don't accept things located outside of. Don't accept things that are in addition to or other than those things that God would have intended for you. No father, no earthly father ever intended for his daughters to be handled by multiple men. Guys, I'm only here to help. I want for you what I want for myself. I want you guys to be happy. I want for you to be healthy. I want you to live a life of longevity and one of fulfillment. But above all these things combined, I wish upon you many, many blessings. I am looking forward to your response. I hope this information has been in the least bit helpful. I've certainly enjoyed sharing it. And as always, my name is Jay Jackson.